1. 6.1 is the draft Regional and Corporate Services Committee meeting minutes of July 13th, 2023.
Thank you. It's moved by Director Popov, seconded by Director Pranger. Questions on the minutes? Hearing none, all in favor, opposed if any, item carries. Do we lose Director Seams?
Oh, no, he's there, just the camera's off.
Okay. Next item.
7.1 is the Fraser Valley Regional District North Cultus Sewer System Loan Authorization Bylaw number 1720.
Thank you. It's moved by Director Dixon, seconded by Director Popov. Questions? Hearing none, all.
Dixon.
Oh, go ahead, Director Dixon.
Thanks for the work on this. I'm very happy to see it on here and happy to see it almost becoming official. We'll see how the vote goes.
Thank you. I call the question. All in favor, opposed if any, item carries. Next item.
8.1 is the asset management update. This is an information item that staff would be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Questions? Hearing none. Next item.
8.2 is information technology planning.
Thank you. Another information item. Questions from directors? I don't see any. Next item.
8.3 is 2024 operational support financial impacts. There is a motion for your consideration.
Thank you. Let's get it on the floor. It's moved by Director Pranger, seconded by Director Popov. Discussion, Director Horn.
Thank you. I think that it's very, very challenging for the average taxpayer to understand a tax bill, especially because there are so many different line items on it. And I know that in recent years, we've tried in earnest to have a very robust and bidirectional communications approach. And I know that will be built into this year's budgeting as well. I want to encourage staff, I'll certainly support the motion. I want to encourage staff this year to think about how we might provide explanatory or educational support, both in the actual envelope with the tax notice, as well as quick and particularly things supported by visuals and videos online. I suspect that we all know that everybody is experiencing the high impact of high inflation, and regional districts and municipalities are no different. We know that's going to happen at every level. But I also know, and I'm concerned particularly for our electoral area directors who are by themselves and can't divide the load the way some of us in cities can. We provide some really robust materials that they can refer to people or hand to people or email to people when they hear those questions. And we're going to have to, I think, chomp down on the bit and deal with these issues. And it's going to be difficult. But at the end of the day, I like the fact that staff have picked a middle road that they think is doable. And I think that that's the way to go. It's about value for money. So I think if we can really give our electoral area directors in particular that support in helping folks to understand the very complex nature of budgeting in regional districts, that would be a very helpful tool.
Thank you. Ms. Kinnaman, you got your light on?
Yes, through the chair to Director Horn. I'm actually pleased to report that the 2024 budget is already launched on our haveyoursay.ferd site. And so we would encourage members of the public to go there. There's videos and information already loaded. And the intention is, as we move through the fall here, to continually update that site so that it's a tool for elected officials to point their constituents towards, as well as for residents to self-serve.
Thank you. Comments, other comments? Director Dixon, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. My comment was actually for Ms. Kinnaman, based on what she just said. I went on the website yesterday. Is it possible that the link to Have Your Say could be cut front and center, especially for the budget piece?
Through the chair to Director Dixon, yes, there will be additional improvements along the way. It is very early in the process, and one of the reasons that we haven't been showcasing it too much right now is simply because we were in the middle of an emergency operations activation, and we really needed to reserve all communications as a priority for electoral area A. Now that things are settling down a little bit in that area, we will be able to move forward in earnest, particularly after the September conversations around the budget.
Other comments? No other comments on the option B. Okay, let's make a quick comment again, and I think it's kind of a summary of what's already been indicated, that everybody understands right now how difficult the economic times are. Nothing is getting less expensive, and people are feeling pinched for sure. Local government, of course, is not immune to any of these increases. We purchase our services and our goods from the same types of baskets, which are not immune to inflationary increases as well. But certainly, this option, I think, takes an approach where we look at the what are the needs of our communities and constituents versus the shiny bells and whistles and all the nice to haves. And I think it also recognizes that for so many of these services that we deliver, there are human beings, people behind them working extremely hard, who care about all of the individuals living in this region and are doing their level best every day to try and deliver these services with pride for this region. So it's a hard balance to strike, but I think this one really attempts to do so. Director Castle, I see your item.
Yeah, thank you. I just wanted, when I'm looking at the difference between A and B, the upgrading the Chilliwack office lobby to improve safety, it's included in both option A and B. But I'll note that in option B, it's tied to the Growing Communities Fund. So that leads me to believe that in option A, we're not tying it to that fund, and in B we are. And I just want to make sure that those upgrades to the lobby will happen if option B is the route that we go.
Ms. Kinnaman,
Sure. Let's turn things over to our CFO to respond to that question.
Ms. Lounsborough.
Okay, thank you through the chair to Director Castle. Yes, your understanding is correct on the funding assumptions between option A and option B. In option B, we are assuming that the Growing Communities Fund would support financially those upgrades. We are working to do assessments on what those level of improvements would be.
Thank you for that. I just, the safety of our staff is not something that I want to leave to potentially getting funding for. I want to make sure that if option B is the option that we take, that the upgrades to the lobby are going to happen.
Duly noted, and it's a good point. Director Castle, thank you. Other questions or comments from staff or from directors? Director Pranger.
And under option B, the service levels can be maintained, and no staff impacts, is the question I would ask.
Thank you, Director Pranger. Ms. Kinnaman.
Through the chair to Director Pranger, that's correct. Option B is the staff recommendation that we would proceed with all planned projects that we would be presenting throughout the budget process. It's still a conservative approach for sure. I think it's noted in the report that option A is that all-in option, that if we could wave a magic wand, that's the way I've referred to it. If we could wave a magic wand and do all of the things that the board and the communities wish, and support the infrastructure needs of the organization, that would be your all-in option. Option B is just a slightly reduced option from there.
Thank you. Don't see any other comments this time. So we will, is that an information item or we're called a question on this? It is moved and seconded already, Ms. Van Ness, yes. Okay, we'll call the question. All in favor, opposed if any, item carries. Next item.
9.1.1 is local government climate action program reporting.
Thank you. Any questions on this item? Director Ross.
Thank you. Yes, I appreciate staff's good work on trying to get our emissions as low as possible. I do have a question in regards to the graph on the corporate GHG emissions. So I get the increases mainly due to the inclusion of contractor emissions now. But I note that diesel emissions have increased quite significantly as well, and I'm just not, if I could get a little bit more detail on why that is. And I hate diesel emissions because they're so carcinogenic, but I realize that we do have them to some extent, but I would like to see us reduce those as much as possible. But that's a significant increase as well.
Thank you, Ms. Kinnaman.
Sure. I'll turn this over to staff. We may have to go back to the data and bring it back to the full board
Okay,
at
that's
this
fine.
point, but I'm just looking to Lance if he has any initial thoughts.
Mr. Lilly.
Hey, through the chair to Director Ross, the specific sources of emissions that we get for these, they come in at sort of a corporate level. So we have to do some digging in order to refine what the actual sources of the diesel are.
Okay.
Our understanding is that a lot of these emissions for diesel have to do with machinery and generators. And there has been a spike in recent years due to a lot of activity with the atmospheric river and the rebuild. It isn't, from what we can tell so far, it's not from any conversion in our fleet vehicles over to diesel.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lilly. Any other questions? Don't see any. Next item.
9.1.2 is the Clean Farms Agricultural Plastics Regional Recycling Pilot Project.
Thank you. It's moved by Director Pranger and seconded by Director Dixon. Discussion. Hearing none. Director Siemens.
Sorry, trying to navigate where to raise my hand. It keeps changing on my screen here. Sorry. Great program. So two questions. One is, it says it's funded out of the appropriated surplus account. So just wondering what we have, what is the actual amount in the account? And then secondly, a lot of farms in Abbotsford, that's going to be a bit of a challenge. How does that get expanded, or are we concentrating more sort of on the eastern side of the farming area? So just wondering if you could give some ideas on how we can participate in that going forward.
Okay, two questions there. One on the account surplus and then one on the regionalization of the program. So how do farms in Abbotsford participate?
Thank you. So I'm not sure if we have the exact point in time surplus numbers here today, but I will turn to Mr. Lilly and see if he can provide some clarity around those two questions.
Through the chair, I don't have the specific number in our projections for the 5-year draft budget that we're in right now. Currently, we have approximately $850,000, I believe, in the reserve funds for this 402, which is our regional solid waste budget. With the goal, and then with the 5-year projection, if this program gets funded, we'll slowly be drawing that down, in part because of this program. The second part of the question to do with Abbotsford farms, they'll absolutely be part of this program. The Clean Farms, which is the organization that would be on the ground running this, they've been operational in Agassiz and, as you say, in the eastern part of the Fraser Valley for a while. But big funders for this and their partnerships include the BC Dairy Association and the commodity groups and Ministry of Agriculture. And the goal is for this to become truly regional in nature over the 5-year process.
Go ahead, Director Stevens.
Great. No, I appreciate that. And yeah, that's been a huge concern, especially after the floods. We started to realize how much plastics. I mean, some of those challenges are ongoing. So I really appreciate the work on this. And I know Mayor Pranger was kind of championing this early on. So I just really appreciate the expansion, and I think the industry support is very important. So thanks. Appreciate the work.
Thank you very much, Director Horn.
Fully supportive of this, and I would echo the comments Director Siemens just made regarding Director Pranger's work and Kent's work in general on this. My question is whether or not there's any opportunity in the long term for some of these products in the consumer end of things, for example, plant pots or berry plats. I had 3 of them and I cannot recycle them. I cannot take these big, huge berry flats anywhere to be recycled. And I wondered whether we might at some point hope to have, whether it's the producer steward that product coming back or something in our community facilities that will extend from this program.
Skinnaman.
Sure. I'm going to turn to Mr. Lilly again. I'm wondering if he's got any secret locations for recycling berry flats.
Thank you for the question. This topic has been discussed amongst our group, and I'm just going to let Carolyn Lane, she's our environmental services coordinator working on solid waste, and she can touch more specifics on the stewardship programs related to these products.
So right now there's not an existing stewardship program in BC for the berry farming products, but we do hope that that is included someday. Right now we're focusing on the silage wrap, the bale wrap, and the twine because they're in such high volumes, specifically in the Fraser Valley, in the regional district of Bulkley and Chaco and the Peace River. So there, because of the volumes, there are markets for those commodities. Yeah, so I think other provinces in Canada have programs for the produce farming plastics, but right now it's not in BC. Yeah, we hope eventually it comes down the pipe.
Thank you. So I've got Director Pranger and then Director Ross.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Maybe if we prove the success of the plastic industry with the dairy, then we can move forward with others such as the tree farm industry and the berries and whatever other plastics are produced in industry, particularly agriculture as well. So hopefully this will be a successful pilot, and then we'll move on to clean up the other industries. Thank you.
Thank you, Director. And Director Ross.
Thank you. So I just wanted to echo Director Siemens' thanks to Director Pranger for her advocacy on this. You've worked really hard on this for a very long time, and we appreciate that. Just a quick question in terms of us promoting this more widely. Was just thinking as we were talking about this that I'm chair of the Agriculture Advisory Committee in Abbotsford, and I would love to provide a link to promote it through those channels. What I'm wondering about is how ready are we for a lot of requests to, come to my farm? Do we have already enough farms signed up? Are you looking for people to sign up? How ready are we for a lot of those calls?
Mr. Lilly.
The goal of this program, it is a 5-year process. And I think that for year 1 is going to involve we want to make sure that there's continuity in Agassiz with the farmers that are already participating. And then we expect kind of a slower rollout of farmers being added to the program each year. We would have to discuss sort of the staffing capacity and the funding capacity within the partner programs on this to know just how many farms that they would want on year 2 versus year 3. However, the concept is sort of a slow build.
Thank you. Don't see any other lights on, so we will call the question. All in favor? Opposed, if any? The item carries. Next item.
9.1.3 is the proposed waste reduction initiative fund program. There is a motion for your consideration.
Thank you. It's moved by Director Ross, seconded by Director Pranger. Discussion. Seeing none, all in favor. Opposed, if any, the item carries. Next item.
9.1.4 is the Small Community Radon Monitoring Pilot Project.
Thank you. That's moved by Director Horn and seconded by Director Dixon. Discussion? Director Dixon?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, through you probably to Mr. Lilly. Thanks for, it's good to see this on the agenda. I know I've certainly heard a little bit about it in my area. My question is sort of where's the health department on this? Because I understand that the concerns with radon is the potential for lung cancer, and are they sending out messaging as well?
Ms. Kinnaman?
Sure, we'll have Mr. Lilly speak to this one as well.
Thank you for the question. I think that's a very, very good point, and that the health authorities need to be the lead messengers when it comes to indoor health for the public. And our approach on this radon initiative has been to assist them in dispersing information to the public. We take our cues from them. Where we can help, I think, is with information for the public for where they can go, where there's resources available, and in other words, how we can direct them to the appropriate health agencies on who to contact.
Okay, other comments? Directors, don't see any. Call the question. All in favor, opposed if any, item carries. Next item.
9.1.5 is the Solid Waste Management Plan Facility Authorization for Conscious Waste Solutions.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. It's moved by Director Facio and seconded by Director Pranger. Discussion. Don't see any. Call the question. All in favor, opposed if any. This item carries. Next item.
9.2.1 is the 2024 to 2027 Transit Improvement Program Initiatives and FVRD Transit Services Update.
Thank you. It's moved by Director Horn, seconded by Director Ross. Discussion. Director Horn.
I have to be quick because I have to go and run to a BC Transit meeting here, so I'll be getting probably before this is voted on. I'm just extremely thrilled to see the third point in the motion. I know that Director Pranger and I have been talking. I will be going back to my council and I'll encourage that same thing to happen at Kent and hopefully some of the communities in between. And so this is a very positive thing. There'll be a lot of work that has to happen behind the scenes in terms of the structure of that line currently, but I think there's a way to do it and expand service and actually recover some costs, and we'll get into that more later on. But I think it's actually a very doable thing that can help to extend service out to Agassiz.
Thank you, Director Horn. Director Castle.
Thank you. I'd just like to echo Director Horton's comments. I'm very excited to be able to share the news that this is coming with the residents of Area G. Thank you.
Fantastic. And Director Pranger.
Thank you, Chair. I'm also very excited about this, but not just for us, but for the First Nations and the smaller communities along Highway 7 who will benefit from this added service. Thank you.
No shortage of excitement on north of the Fraser Transit, which we've been talking about for what seems like many, many, many years. Certainly in my time here, it's been something that we've endeavored to get done. I would put forward that, and you can share this at your board.
I was just going to say, I would like the committee to know that our friends from BC Transit are actually on the line, so they have heard your messages.
Perfect.
Great.
Perfect. After 2 or 3, maybe 2 years of no expansion, 3 years of no tips expansions, it'd be great to see all 3 of these with a further 3 be done in this year.
Mr. Chair, if you happen to run into Minister Fleming during UBCM and the Premier and anybody on Treasury Board, just remember fund transit is a 2-word phrase we might want to put on our bumper stickers.
Fund transit out in BC Transit area. Exactly. That's the one we want. Right. Perfect. Thank you very much. I call the question. All in favor, opposed if any. Item carries with a resounding yes. Okay, next item.
9.2.2, continuing on that theme, is accessible transit. There is a motion for your consideration.
Yeah, another one, good one. It's moved by Director Popo, second by Director Johnson. Question, comments? Everyone has heard about the challenges with transit accessibility and equity of transit. So it's not just the providing transit service, but also providing the appropriate types of transit service that best serve all of the needs of all of our communities and folks that require it and rely on it. So we'll call the question on this one. Should be easy. All in favor? Opposed, if any? The item carries. Next item.
Moving down to section 11 in our agenda, which is items for information and correspondence. Happy to separate any of those items for discussion, Chair Lund.
Thank you. Questions on correspondence? Don't see any. Next item.
Moving down to reports by directors.
Director Pranger, go ahead.
Just a reminder to folks that the Agassiz Fall Fair and Corn Festival is not this weekend, but the coming weekend, the 22nd and 23rd. And I would encourage anyone who likes a good fall fair to attend. Thank you.
And who doesn't like a good fall fair? Director Facio.
Great fall fair. Just a reminder, this coming Sunday is Terry Fox, and this year will be in our area. The participation will happen in Harrison Hot Springs. So if you're around that way, come along and participate to that great cause, and hope to see many of my colleagues here at UBCM.
Director Johnson.
Thank you. No need for me to report on the wildfires in our areas. Everyone has been well informed. It's an understatement to say I'm very grateful that no lives were lost, although there certainly was devastating loss of properties. I do want to thank Ms. Kinneman and staff for all the work they've done this summer with the wildfires and for keeping the lines of communication open. This allowed me to keep the community informed, and it's much easier for all of us to deal with the known than try to deal with the unknown. And I have to say that I felt absolutely confident that we were being carefully monitored and taken care of. And this past Saturday saw many of our FVRD staff in Boston Bar offloading a semi-trailer full of household cleaning supplies that was donated by the CN. They organized a re-entry drop-in center from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. and handed out cleaning supplies to the community members, along with the re-entry guide. Pamphlets were also available with Fire Smart information, and provincial health services were there as well, with providing information and helplines to phone for those wishing free counseling services. Red Cross also had household supplies to give away, and refreshments were also provided by FVRD. The community really appreciated the kindness and generosity. So again, thank you.
Thank you, Director Johnson, and having spoken to you directly right in the middle of the disaster, just would thank you and share. Won't be of any surprise to any of the directors around the table, the poise and professionalism that you showed during the disaster, and appreciate that. Appreciate all that certainly, and I want to thank you for your leadership. Director, I thought I saw Director Castle on there. Director Castle, did I see pop up and then?
Thank you. I just wanted to add that I'm also excited about the Agassiz Fall Fair. The Fraser Valley Tractor Pullers Association are bringing in a fantastic play-by-play announcer this year, and I hope that you're ready for the crowds that the voice will attract to that event. So I'm very much looking forward to that.
Might I ask who that announcer is?
Ken Popo. No, just kidding.
Well, he's coming with some tractors from DesRoches, so.
I was waiting when we were going to start talking about tractor pulls and plowing matches and stuff like that. That's good. That's good. Yeah. Director Fassi, you've got your light on again. You okay?
Just one quick comment, if I may.
Go for it.
Thank you. You already thanked Director Johnson for the outstanding work she did there. I would like to thank our staff here in the EOC who did an outstanding job through this whole process. It really, it's just we're so fortunate to have such dedicated people who spend all those hours saving and looking after and saving lives as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Director Fazio. And last but not least, Director Ross. Go ahead.
Thank you. Yes, if we're going to be talking about fall fairs, I have to throw in a pitch about the Mount Lehman Fall Fair happening this Saturday. So would love to welcome you all there. I believe it starts at 9:30. Director Siemens? Director Siemens, is it 9:30 it starts? Yes? Okay. The other thing that I wanted to mention is that the UBCM has been mentioned, convention is coming up next week, and we just so happen to have a candidate sitting right here running for second vice president. So yes, so congratulations for your nomination and look forward to your success.
Thank you, Director Ross. Just check in. Are there any other reports from board directors? I don't see any, so just add my thanks again to all of the directors and all of the work that you continue to do in your areas. I know it's been we had a little bit of a break in meetings in August, but hope you all had a little bit of time at least to get some R&R and enjoy a bit of the summer. Although it looks like we're having a bit of an extended summer here outside. Obviously, our thoughts go out to all of the folks, not just in the FBRD, but around the province who are affected by wildfires, and certainly want to add my thanks to everyone involved in the reentry activities that happened. And I definitely heard some very positive feedback from them, heartwarming feedback from residents in the area. So it goes back to my earlier comments of, you know, behind all of these services, there's dedicated staff and folks who are going above and beyond here to help our constituents across the region. And I thank all of you for that. Ms. Kinnaman.
Moving down to public question period for items relevant to the agenda. We have no members of the public with us joining us in the boardroom today, but we'll just ask our corporate officer, Jamie Van Ness, to check in online and anybody that may be submitted comments.
Ms. Van Ness.
Thank you. No, we have no members of the public joining us today.
Thank you. We did get a question real time as I was here chairing the meeting from Mr. Aaron Flavel, somebody who most of you know, who was on the meeting earlier and then noted that we went into closed and then reconvened our open, which was a bit inconvenient as he didn't know when our open was going to reconvene. I would say, Ms. Kinnaman, correct me if I'm wrong, that's not usually how we do things on this. So Aaron, if you're listening, or if anybody wants to follow up with him, which I will too, it isn't our usual course of business. But certainly if you have a question on any of the items on the agenda, we'd be happy to help you out and answer it. Okay.
So with that, Chair Lum, we'll move to a motion for adjournment.
Thank you.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Moved by Director Fazio, second by Director Dixon. All in favor, opposed if any. Item carries. We're adjourned.